Our top story this hour is about Venezuela, and now the latest is that India has reacted to the sharp turn of events in Venezuela. In a statement, the External Affairs Ministry said that it is for the people of Venezuela to find political solution to their problem. The statement read, and I quote, "We are closely following the emerging situation in Venezuela. We are of the view that it is for the people of Venezuela to find political solution to resolve their differences through constructive dialogue and discussion without resorting to violence. We believe democracy, peace and security in Venezuela are of paramount importance for the progress and prosperity of the people of Venezuela. India and Venezuela enjoy close and cordial relations." This is the latest that we are getting in. It's important to highlight at the moment what India's reaction is. The External Affairs Ministry has released a statement accepting that they are closely following the emerging situation in Venezuela and that India is of the view that it is for the people of Venezuela to find a political solution to resolve their differences through constructive dialogue and discussion without resorting to violence. India has also highlighted that Venezuela and India enjoy close and cordial relations. And to bring us more details, I'm joined in by Principal Diplomatic Correspondent Siddhant Sibal. Siddhant, what do you make of India's reaction at the moment when Venezuela is actually going through immense political crisis?
What's up? Well, it's an important statement, but it also shows that New Delhi is cautious. If we closely look at the statement, it shows that New Delhi clearly said that it's closely watching the emerging situation, not taking sides in the development. Remember, Venezuela is an important partner when it comes to India's oil needs. Venezuela is the fourth largest contributor to India's crude basket after, of course, Iran and other countries. But it also shows that the cautious approach is being taken given the political dynamics which is going around it. We have seen how the U.S. president on Twitter really announced the so-called regime change, recognizing the interim president of Venezuela, while Russia has slammed Washington, saying that it's an unceremonious action. The Russian foreign ministry said that it shows that total disregard of the international norms and attempt to impose its own plans on the future of another nation. And China even also has reacted. China clearly taking a stand, saying that it supports the effort made by the Venezuelan government to uphold the national sovereignty, independence and stability. Clearly, Beijing and Russia taking sides, while New Delhi choosing to remain cautious at this time when we have seen a lot of political influx taking place in Venezuela as well in global capitals, whether it's Washington, Moscow or Beijing.
Right, Siddhant, it's also important to talk about Venezuela's, overall position in the global market, considering it's got major countries like the United States, Russia, China reacting, and now India, of course, has been cautious. But how important is Venezuela in the global market?
Well, Venezuela is important when it comes to crude dynamics of the world. It contributes majorly to the oil basket of the world, and it's, of course, member of important bodies, takes a crucial decision. That is why it's important for New Delhi. But by and large, if we look at the high-level visits which have taken place between the two countries, there haven't been much high-level visits. The last time a visit happened was like 2 years ago by the foreign minister of Venezuela to New Delhi, in which the oil was the key issue that was discussed. Even both countries, Venezuela and India, planning for giving payments much like the Iran-India deal between rupee, use of rupee as a monetary exchange, a means of monetary exchange. So clearly, as of now, New Delhi is cautious, but for New Delhi also, it might be necessary to take a stand in future because of its need on oil.
Right, absolutely. Would be interesting to see if India actually takes a stand on this entire matter or not in the days to come. Thank you so much, Siddhant Sibal, for bringing us the latest. Now, embattled Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has announced that Venezuela will be shutting down its embassy and all the consulates in the United States. This after Washington recognized opposition leader Juan Guaido as the interim president of the oil-rich nation. Maduro also reiterated that the ongoing power tussle was a part of a U.S. coup bid.
Y he decidido regresar todo el personal diplomático y consular de nuestro país en el exterior y cerrar nuestra embajada y todos los consulados en Estados Unidos.
The United States was one of the first countries to recognize 35-year-old Guaido's claim to power. US President Donald Trump said that he has been closely watching the situation in the economic crisis hit Latin American nation.
Well, it's a very sad situation. That was the richest state in all of that area. That's a big, beautiful area, and by far the richest. And now it's one of the poorest places in the world. That's what socialism gets you, when they want to raise your taxes to 70%. You know, it's interesting. I've been watching our opponents, our future opponents, talking about 70%. Number one, they can't do it for 70%.
Meanwhile, United States Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has urged the Venezuelan military to provide protection for Guaido. Remember, Guaido has called for the army's help in conducting a fair election. Pompeo also said that the U.S. would provide financial assistance of over $20 million to Venezuela in order to aid a transfer of power in the country.
In light of these facts, we call on Venezuelan security forces to ensure the protection of interim President Guaido's physical integrity and his safety. We also stand ready to provide humanitarian assistance to the people of Venezuela as soon as logistically possible. Today, I'm announcing that the United States is ready to provide more than $20 million in humanitarian assistance to the people of Venezuela. These funds are to help them cope with the severe food and medicine shortages and other dire impacts of their country's political and economic crisis.
Meanwhile, thousands of Venezuelans resumed their protests against President Maduro, whom they blame for the country's economic collapse. Trump's decision to recognize Guaido as the head of state has invited criticism from within the U.S., and Democrat Tulsi Gabbard said that Washington should not meddle in another country's affairs. But the most vocal criticism came from Russia. In a strongly worded remark, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that U.S. remained paranoid about interference in its own elections, while it does not shy away from meddling in other nations' internal matters.
Не раз мы убеждаемся, как Соединенные Штаты, которые параноидально тревожатся о том, что кто-то вмешивается в их выборы, не имея на руках никаких доказательств, сами уже в очередной раз за последние месяцы, это далеко не первый случай, просто в Венесуэле это сделано предельно грубо, пытаются выступать вершителями судеб других народов, а на деле просто вмешиваются в их внутренние дела. Тут никакую комиссию Мюллер даже создавать не надо.
Now, the United Nations has said that only dialogue can resolve the crisis in Venezuela. However, the body has refused to intervene in Venezuela's political turmoil.
We do have a permanent mission here, and that remains the mission that we deal with. As the Secretary General made clear in some comments that he made while in Davos today, sovereign governments have the possibility to decide whatever they want in relation to recognizing other governments. That is ultimately a matter between sovereign governments, and we don't intervene in that process.